Hello and greetings from Humboldt, Iowa. I came up with this craft project, a garland, which by no means is an original concept. As a matter of fact, the ancient Romans were decking their halls with garlands similar to the one I cooked up for their Saturnalia festival around 31 BC. Saturnalia was one of the Romans' most popular festivals, honoring the god Saturnian, a name that our Saturday is derived from. It was a time when agricultural work was completed and a sort of joyous Thanksgiving period began. Saturnalia began December 17th, lasting for about 7 days. Modern Italy continues this tradition, which varies from beginning in October to January. Saturnalia was a time of relaxation and merriment, and like our Thanksgiving and Christmas, businesses, courts, and schools were closed. In order to get things rolling for this highly anticipated holiday, citizens then began decking their halls with the iconic colors of Saturnalia, primarily green and gold, using materials such as wheat, nuts, pine cones, evergreen, berries, and so forth. With these kinds of resources, they would decorate their homes, creating wreaths and garlands, which they would then place over doorways, windows, and even stairs. Sounds familiar? Well, the influence of this long-ago holiday eventually spread throughout the Western world and was incorporated into the Christmas we know and love today. So let's do the time warp dance and get back to our garland, which I'm excited to share with you today. I absolutely love autumn, so I wanted my garland to capture this time and to be extended into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and into the New Year's. My materials consisted of fishing line, green twine, snipped pieces of wire, twisty ties, pine cones, corn stalks, dried flowers like goldenrod, black-eyed Susan, and coneflower seed pods, burning bush leaves, clipped greenery from an old artificial Christmas tree destined for the recycling center, artificial holly with berries, clear shellac, silver spray paint, white fairy lights, and finally a hammer and nails. The fishing line I fortified with the green twine. This line I then fastened to 2 poles facing opposite directions, the kind of poles that you stick in the ground and hang flower pots from. This line stretched for some 30 feet, similar to that of a clothesline. Tip: it's a good idea to make sure that your line is taut, because once your materials are fastened to this line, it tends to droop. After establishing a pattern laid out on our sidewalk, my husband and I then began fastening these materials to the line using a combination of twisty ties and wire. When this was finished, I sprayed the entire garland with the shellac and then, using the silver paint, alternated coverage so that there would still be the natural colors balanced by the silver painted items. When this was dried, my husband and I brought it into our home, where he then began fastening the lights with wire. This was a painstaking process, what with all the elements to get in and around, as well as the wire being quite thin and slippery. Our garland hangs from just above one window on the southwest side of our living room to the furthest window on the northwest side. This was truly the hardest part of the project, what with 30 feet of heavy garland, and it being just the 2 of us. But we somehow managed. So let me show you now the end product inside, beginning with a little tour of our house from upstairs and ending with some scenes of our creek. I do hope you enjoy, and thank you. This is Bo, and he's welcoming you all to our home. This is the piano that I took lessons on when I was a little girl. And there I am at the very same piano. My mom used to play this piano just about every other day or so when I was growing up, trying to, keep her fingers nimble. And whenever we had company, we would always end up having sing-alongs here. Last, everybody, got involved, and it was just great fun. So anyway, these are the windows looking out into our backyard. This is facing south. This little tile table here, my grandfather on my mom's side made from a table that was tossed into an alley, and he ended up, he was a tile setter, and so he had leftover pieces of tile, and he made this beautiful mosaic on here. We have some other tables of his. And speaking of tiles, my Aunt Deanie, she made these paintings on these circular tiles here of seabirds in Wellport, Oregon. And my Uncle Thad gifted those to us after her passing. We miss you, Aunt Deanie. We miss all of the family that has parted ways with us. These agates, mostly, that's what they are, came from my grandmother, Moore. And I sort of took up her form of decorating, which is basically using a lot of natural elements, plants, driftwood, seashells, stones, etc. Here's a witchy woman, and she has lost her cackle, but it happens to the worst of us, right? Ha ha ha, really bad. Okay, this china hut, my husband's going to talk to you about.
This was a wedding present to my dad's parents, and so they were married in 1923, I believe, and so it's been in the family since then.
And it was gifted to us from Terry's grandmother. There's a view looking northwest, kind of. Lots of leaves everywhere. After all, it is autumn. There's my husband's murky tank. And over here, hey husband, this is Formica table that was in Terry's family growing up. And we cleaned it up and brought it over here. This is our kitchen. These are tomatoes from my husband's garden. We're just kind of scanning the kitchen, and there's the liquor over there. What is it that Willy Wonka used to say?
Candy is dandy, but liquor is quicker.
And here, there goes our dog again. Okay, here's effect for Halloween. Spooky cobweb. This is a real cobweb outside, and we haven't touched it. It's kind of cool. All right, so now we're going to go into the dining room, and my husband is going to join me. Anyway, but this picture here, this gentleman here represented the Iowa
Department of Agriculture.
Right, and there I am, and there's my mom, and I don't know who that is. And there's Wesley from way back when. And here's a beautiful needle point, right?
And it's a chateau in France. My dad's oldest brother was stationed in Grenoble with Caterpillar in the 60s. And my grandparents went over to visit him and his family. And so Grandma brought back this, and needle point in it. This is plans for my cousin Margaret Percy. It's her house that they built in Exeter, England, and I think it's just way too cool.
It is. See, his family is kind of upper crust. We're just the commoners on my side.
There's my great grandfather Arthur Maurice Percy Thompson, and on the right is Admiral, I can't remember.
Is it Admiral Boone from Mary Poppins?
No, it's not Admiral Boone.
Oh, okay. And this is your grandma's.
There's my dad's mom.
See, I love being able to have these old pictures of family, and it just makes you feel a little more connected, right? Okay, this scary lady here, because I always think she's scary.
She's smiling.
Okay. I don't know, but you know, it took a long time back then to sit and take pictures, and so maybe that's why they all look kind of so serious back then. Going back a century or so, there's the husband. And here's where we keep our preserves, mostly jams, but not just jams. We had that built in. And this is a hutch that was in our old Dakota City house. It was built in 1880s. So this goes back quite a ways. Cool. Okay, this here, my husband.
Franklin Coker is my grandfather's father. My dad's dad was born in 1898, and so this was his dad, Benjamin Franklin Coker, and a drawing of him.
That's a little boy. And I love this little frame. It's pretty cool. And speaking of frames, there's a frame of an old door. Again, this comes from the Dakota City house, and it's got the oval window with the kind of silver etching. And we brought it back here because we didn't want to part with that. Early 1880s. And we have a little stained glass window there, but there's no sun coming through, so you can't really get the effect. This is just kind of a kickback room. This used to be a garage, and the dining room used to be the breezeway connecting to the garage. But we decided to, because there was no dining room here, so we decided to use the breezeway and convert that into a dining room. And then this area just became kind of a, like I said, a nice place to relax. So more seashells and things of that nature going through. And this is looking out directly west, maybe a little to northwest. And the creek is out there. And speaking of which, I ended up taking pictures of the creek, and then we ended up doing decoupage to preserve them in this room and kind of have a water theme running through. No pun intended with that running through. This is a collage of just the creek. And I love the ripples and the music those ripples make. Hey honey, here's our Bobo. Hello sweetie pie, how are you? Cutie pie. And more of my photography. This is the fungi collage. Poisonous as well as edible bee. Trying to find the morel there. These are a delicacy. Looks like a brain or something. Some scenes from Canada. Oh, did you want to go swimming? Okay, so now let's go take a look at that garland that I promised. We hung this up, and that was the hardest part of the whole project, was getting this hung up. Oh my gosh, that was hard. What a mess it made. There it is, and it is just kind of dipping. So that is our garland, and I love it, and it should hopefully last into the holidays. Anything out there? I don't know. This is about the time that the rabbits and deer come. All right, so I think that concludes our tour, and we thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed it and got some maybe inspiration. We're gonna come back to you in just a few. All right, as promised, this is the garland with the fairy lights. This is too cool. I'm out here in our backyard. That's the deck back there. And I thought instead of still pictures,
I would give you a video tour of our place by walking down a hill to a path, to some stepping stones in a creek, some vistas of the creek, and a path above the creek. So there goes my hat again. Anyway, so let the tour begin. Water reflecting the fall foliage. Okay, well that concludes our tour of our backyard, and I hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you later. Bye.